ויחפרו מבקשי נפשי, יסויגו אחור ויקולמו חפצי רעשי. ישובו על עקב בושתם, האומרים האוך האוך. יסיסו וישמחו בך כל מבקשך, ויאמרו צמיד יגדל אליהם, אוי הווה ישועתך. ואני עוני ואביון אליהם חושה לי, עזרי ומפלתי עתה אדוני אל תאחר.
Something. This is my Ramko. I'm here. Break it down. Break it down. Okay. Now, next. It was a tremendous chus to have Rav Shapiro. Thank you so much. You know, right now, there are thousands of people tuning in live. And even if you're not tuning in live, there are people staying at home in their own nook and cranny, wherever they are, united around the world, Tu B'Av together. I want to say on a personal level, I'm very honored. I was having a conversation yesterday with Rav Pesach Kron. We were discussing this, and the truth is, he's a big impetus for this because Rabbi Kron, years ago, I was once at an art school event with my wife. Rabbi Kron said that, when you talk about Shidduchim, you make Shidduchim. When you daven for Shidduchim, you talk about Shidduchim. You talk about Shidduchim, you make Shidduchim. So really, the more you involve with Shidduchim, the more Shidduchim happen. And that's what today is also happening. We're uniting across the world, everyone, Tu B'Av together, hundreds of thousands of Jews across the world. The Shidduch crisis does not discriminate. It's equally offensive. And we talk about the Litvish Jewry and the Sephardic Jewry.
Where's the mic?
The mic is here. Oh, but the
Oh,
mic.
you're gonna... You hit the beer vendor. Terrible.
and to have one of the most foremost leaders in the Sephardic world and really Torah Jewry, when you see him speaking, and you know that Rav David Ozeri Shlita is going to be speaking, before he even talks, you're excited because you know what's coming. You know energy is going to flow into the room. And if you saw him speak about in a small promo video where he talked about a shidduch, where there was someone in his shul that he said, down for me, I'll down for you, and it was his own daughter. So you're down for each other, and everyone's davening for someone else. And what I want people to have in mind, all the people, especially we're arranging it through Yad La'achim, the people that need to find the shidduch. Once again, I remind everyone watching, tuning in right now, that if you want to download the Tehillim to be said, to say along, it'll be on the screen. But if you want to download Tehillim, if you're on Yad La'achim's website, just scroll down, you see the download Tehillim and download it, click on it, it'll come to your screen or to your phone. And if you're any other website, I want to thank our affiliates, TorahAnytime.com, and so many big tzaddikim. So please go to tubaavtogether.com, as you see here, TUBAV together.com, or really tubaav.live. They all work. It all takes you to the same place, the same schos. Download the Tehillim. And once again, even though right now there is currently a minyan Talmidei Chachamim who are still in Amukah, this time davening for all the names, and going to leave a kvittel at the kever of the Holy Tanner of Yonason ben Azil. So you have the opportunity, once again, there's no minimum donation required. On our website, scroll down, enter the names. Again, no minimum donation required. Obviously, if you want to get tzedakah for Yad La'achim, that's okay. We need to rescue Jewish women and children. But there's Pidyon Shvuim here involved in a different way. The Pidyon Shvuim of women and children, and women are singles who need to find a shidduch. There's no bigger Chevy than that. I was speaking once to a young man. He was 38 years old, and he told me, thank Hashem we got married so early. I'm like, excuse me? You're 38 years old. That's not today. That's an old man. So what are you talking about? Once you get married, it's all good. And that is the hope that everyone watching today who knows someone needs a shidduch should find their shidduch right away. Is Rabbi Ozeri ready? On Avenue J. You ever see the big Sephardic Torah Center and the electrifying? I used to live on Avenue J. I live now in Far Rockaway. I used to go on Shabbos to hear Rabbi Ozeri speak.
We can just make him a little smaller on the screen or something.
To hear Rabbi Ozeri speak is really a tremendous, tremendous opportunity. It's a schus, one of the leading speakers and really leaders in Klal Yisrael. He speaks, your whole body is energized. You're all poof. And said with that, it's a tremendous kavod to have with us to say kapitel Pei Beis Harav David Ozeri Shlita.
Good morning, Morai Rabotai. It is truly a beautiful morning, this day of Tu B'Av. Tu B'Av, we all know, was recorded in the Gemara and has always gone down in history as a great day for Shidduchim, a day where many, many Shidduchim were made throughout history. Therefore, I would like to speak a little bit on the idea, the concept of making Shidduchim, about helping others get married. Gemara tells us, "Hamisameach hatan v'kala ki'ilu bana achad mechorvot Yerushalayim." Someone who's misameach hatan v'kala, it's as if you rebuilt one of the chorvot Yerushalayim, one of the destructions of Yerushalayim. Why is that? Well, in order to understand that, we need to hear another Gemara. Gemara says, "En ben David ba, Mashiach will not come ad shikalu kol haneshamot shebeguf." Mashiach will not arrive until the chest of all neshamot are emptied in Shamayim. Meaning to say, there is a chest in Shamayim full of all the future neshamot that have to be born. When that chest becomes empty, then Mashiach will come. Fine. So if we are mesameach hatan v'kala and we bring them happiness, that's encouraging for them to build a bayit ne'eman b'Yisrael. And they will go on to have children, and maybe many children. And that is emptying the goof, the chest in Shamayim of the neshamot. And because of that, Horbot Yerushalayim will be built, and Mashiach Tzidkenu will become. So, that's if we just make them happy. How much more so if we make their shidduch, if we go out and we are meshadech them, and they get married because of us, and they go on to build a bayit ne'eman b'Yisrael. You know what you're doing? You are bringing Mashiach closer. You're boneh ahad mechorvot Yerushalayim. Good. I'd like to tell you over a pasuk from Ruth.
And now we're back. We said Pei Beis, we're the speakers on, that's why I think I hear myself here. We've already said half the kapitlach, and the next speaker is not really a speaker. I mean, he's a speaker, but he's one of the only people that when you hear him speak on the radio or in a shir, and you talk to him over the phone, he sounds exactly the same. Rav David Goldwasser Shlita was really one of the first Rabbanim here in America of many years ago when I came aboard. He spoke at least 30, 40 of our events. He is beyond. Rabbi Goldwasser, I don't know how he emanates so much energy from that. You know?
To be like Michal when she talks.
Like when I speak, I'm a balbusser, so you understand. But a guy like Rabbi Goldwasser, such a skinny guy and so much energy, it's really an amazing thing. And with that,
I think it's a very serious moment.
I'm always serious. I'm too serious. I want to ease up a little bit.
Be serious. Yeah, me, I'm a skinny guy.
I would never say that live.
It's like
So it's a tremendous,
serious.
of course. So Rabbi Goldwasser, yeah, and Rabbi Goldwasser is fire. So please make sure you have some extinguishers near your screen. And we're about to have the schus to have Harav HaGoyen of David Goldwasser Shlita recite Perek Kuf Chof Aleph. You can't have that on the screen. The plays.
There is a Rash Gadol in Shamayim. There is a tremendous storm in the heavens, because when hundreds of thousands of Jews are gathered together throughout the entire world, ba'achdus, in unity, saying Tehillim together for each other, what Yad La'achim has done, it has stormed the heavens. The schus of all of us together saying Tehillim is an ein l'shayir. One cannot even imagine it. I want you to know, I received a call from a Talmud in Eretz Yisrael. They had just a little baby, he and his wife. The baby is a premature. And unfortunately, the baby's size was smaller than the human hand. They cried on the telephone, Rebbe, what can we do? The doctor said it's questionable whether the baby will even survive. Immediately, I got on the phone to everybody I know in New York, in United States, in London, in Australia, in Switzerland, wherever there are Yidden throughout the entire world. And I united them that they should say Tehillim, and I gave them the name and the name of the mama. And they said Tehillim, and some of them didn't stop. They continued and continued. I called hours later, they were still saying the Tehillim. Nisim v'niflos. The baby survived. That baby survived and thrived. And the doctor said, I don't understand how this baby made it. It is a medical miracle. And the mama said, no miracle. There were Tehillim that were said throughout the world for this little baby. And that's the reason of its survival. It was Hashem Borei Olam. The doctor said, in that case, I think you should call the baby's name Tehillim. And indeed, they called the baby Tehillah. What a schus it is that we are gathered together to say Tehillim. What a schus it is, and the tremendous amount of people that need Shidduchim, that need Besurot Tovot, that need all kinds of good news in Yeshua's. They're going to be rewarded, because the single power of Tehillim is something that the human mind cannot even fathom. Right now, when we talk about truth and we talk about justice, I would like to speak about Yad La'achim for one moment. Because Yad La'achim is doing in this world what no other organization is able to do. I have such kavod and such respect for every member, for every worker of Yad La'achim. I couldn't do what they do. They are Moser Nefesh. They go behind enemy territory. They sneak into Arab villages. They take people that have been kidnapped, young women and young girls that are hostage in Arab families. Who knows the torture that they go through on a daily level? Yad Lachim is Moser Nefesh. They send in their vans, they send in their people at the middle of the night, and they do their mission, and they are matzliach in their shlichut in all that they do, and they bring those girls, they bring the women back. I sat together with two of those people that were captives, two of the people that were rescued in Queens. I'll never forget it in my entire life, hearing what they had to say about Yad Lachim. Yad Lachim saved their life. It saved them physically. They could have been beaten to death, chas v'shalom. But more than that, their neshama could have been beaten to death. And Yad Lachim restored them. And how they talked to me about why they traveled to the United States specifically, just to speak for Yad Lachim. And then I thought to myself, you save one Jewish soul, it's like you saved the whole world. How many hundreds and how many thousands did Yad Lachim save? How many? We can't imagine it. It's Devarim Sha'imdim Beruma Shalaylam. They're at the heights of the universe. All that they do in Eretz Yisrael, all that Rabbi Nisanel Gans does here in the United States, we can't even imagine how great is their work. I would like to say, they promote justice, they promote peace, they promote achdus. Yishmarcha mikol ra, yishmor es nafshecha. Adonai yishmor tzeischo voecha, me'ata v'yad olam. In the schus of the great Perkei Tehillim, which we've recited, in the last pasuk, may Hashem watch your going out and your coming in from now and forever. May Hashem watch all of you, all of Bnei Yisrael, each and every one. Tzeis vo'echa, wherever we go, wherever we're at in the entire world, may atov yad olam, from now and forever. And may we soon hear the Pamei Mashiach Tzidkenu Bimheirav Yomenu, the footsteps of the long-awaited Mashiach.
Yossi, can we do stuff?
It's an hour and 13 minutes
Really?
without you.
So listen with me, it's another 25 minutes. שעה וחצי.
Maar dat zit in graphics.
We have to be able to do that, then you can go home. So right now, we're doing the major schus. We're going to have Shmuel Dishon Shlita is going to give us the Vechizuk. Is Rav Dishon ready? Is he live? Rav Dishon Shlita.
We are now on Chamishasar B'Av. First and foremost issue that we all must remember, we have a power Bashomayim. But the power Bashomayim is to see to it that our tefillahs are nistavel, are accepted, and not only that, they pierce through the heavens. They pierce through the heaven and reach Tachas Kisa HaKavod, underneath the holy throne of the Ribbon Shalom. If we unite, the whole of Am Yisrael, the whole of Klal Yisrael unites with Tefillah, we can reach to the highest, which is under the holy throne of the Ribbon Shalom. We are going to read just the Tehillim now. Shir HaMa'alois LaDavid. Lulei Hashem shehoya lanu, yomarno Yisrael. Lulei Hashem shehoya lanu, bekum aleinu Adam. We are going to read just the Tehillim now. Shir HaMa'alois LaDavid. Lulei Hashem shehoya lanu.
Back to you.
Hamagid Mereshis Achers, Huyuteshen Tayulishi Eris. You know, if you think about the word Magid, who's the first thing that comes to mind? So if you're a certain age, so Shalom Shadron, Shabsi Delevich, but the continuation, the living embodiment of the word Magid in America is beyond a doubt. Harav Pesach Kron. I will say, growing up as a bacher, if you knew, I mean today as well also, but if you knew Rabbi Pesach Kron was coming to speak, you went to hear him speak. There's no one who is electrifying and as inspirational and life-changing. The truth is, if you think about someone, the impact of a speaker, of a darshan, of the ability literally to just misayir a Klal Yisrael, that's what Pesach Kron, and Rabbi Kron Shlita, who has helped us in every which way, shape, or form. It's a tremendous opportunity. I will say to his credit, I said many years ago, he gave me the first period to give inspiration. And he actually urged very strongly to say Kaf Chav Zayin and Kaf Chav Ches. And with that, it's a schus to introduce the Magid of America, of the world, Harav Pesach Kron Shlita.
I'm deeply grateful to the officers of Yad La'achim for inviting me to come to speak to you on this very, very important topic of Tu B'Av together. Davening together for the purpose of Shidduchim and for anything else that is necessary in Klal Yisrael. You know, there's a fascinating Gemara in Tainis, Chavav Amid Beis, and it says like this. Omer Rab Shimon ben Gamliel, Rab Shimon ben Gamliel says, Lo hoyu yomim toivim li Yisrael. Listen to that language. There was no such yontif as Yisrael, as for Klal Yisrael, kechamisha osa ba'ov, as the 15th day of Av. Why? And then the Gemara goes on to explain that was the day when young men met young women and Shidduchim were made. And of course, we have to ask, what is such a great simcha? Of course, it's wonderful when Shidduchim are made, but Lo hoyu yomim toivim li Yisrael? Of course. The obvious answer is that without families, there's no future in Klal Yisrael. And so therefore, when Shidduchim are made, this guarantees the future of Klal Yisrael. Of course, that's why it's so important. But I was thinking that perhaps there's more to it than that. You know, when we think of Yom Tovim, we think of the Shalosh Regalim. We think of Pesach, we think of Shavuos, and we think of Sukkot. Imagine that. When Rab Shimon ben Gamliel made this statement, Lo hoyu yomim tovim li Yisrael, there was no yontif in Klal Yisrael. Like Tu B'Av, that meant It's greater than Pesach, greater than Shavuos, and greater than Sukkot. How could that be? And I'll tell you what I think. You see, if you take the theme of Pesach, the theme of Shavuos, and the theme of Sukkot, you're going to see a remarkable thing. What is the theme of Pesach? The theme of Pesach is freedom. Freedom to be able to accomplish everything that you're able to accomplish with your talents. And I'll show you something fascinating. The Gemara in Saita Dav Beis Amud Aleph that talks about Shidduchim brings a pasuk about Shidduchim. Listen to what it says. Elokim Moshiv Yechidim Baisa. Hashem takes individuals from their home. Moitzi Asirim B'Koisharais. And then the pasuk seems to talk about something else. He took out those that were locked in Mitzrayim B'Koisharais in the most opportune time. Hashem took us out in Nisan. He could have taken us out in the winter. It would have been freezing to go into the desert in the winter. He could have taken us out in the hot summer. That would have been very difficult to stand in Har Sinai in the terrible heat. But he took us out because Sheres in the most opportune time in springtime. And that was in Nisan. Okay, fine. That's what the pasuk means, the second part. But what's it got to do with Shidduchim, with the first part of the pasuk? Elokim Moshiv Yechidim Baisa, the Eibishter takes individuals from their home. And you know what I believe? I believe that every one of us has tremendous potential locked up within ourselves. And the only way we can bring out the best within ourselves is when we have a good partner in life. And when the husband has a great wife and a wife has a great husband, both of them can grow and bring out their fabulous potential. And that's the pasuk. Now listen to it. Moshiv Yechidim Baisa. Hashem takes individuals who are living in separate homes with their parents. And now, Moitzi Asirim, he takes out the potential that was locked up within the person B'Kosheres in the most opportune way with Shidduchim. And so therefore Pesach, which is freedom, symbolizes the idea of bringing out the potential. And that happens with Shidduchim. What is Shavuos all about? Shavuos is the marriage of Hashem to Klal Yisrael. Hashem was the chassan, and Klal Yisrael was the kala. So once again, you see that this yontif of Shavuos, just like Pesach, can be related to marriage. And I'll tell you something fascinating. When we think about Sukkot, Sukkot also is so inviting to every person. Recently, I was interviewed and I was asked, what is my favorite mitzvah to perform? Well, of course, obviously it's bris milah because you know that I'm a male. But you know what I said? I love sitting in the sukkah. You know why? Because when you sit, and you know something, that's what marriage is all about. And I'm going to show you something interesting. The husband gives the wife a ring. A ring is perfectly round. It's protection. He's showing her that he's going to protect her. The kala walks around the chassan, also a perfect circle. That's the idea of protection. And you know something? I have a mechutton Freddie Pfeiffer in Montreal. His father, Olav Shalom, Dr. Yoel Pfeiffer, once said something fabulous. Obviously, it's bris milah because you know that I'm a male. But you know what I said? I love sitting in the sukkah. You know why? Because when you sit in the sukkah and you're embraced and you're protected by those four walls, you just feel that the Eibishter is protecting you. And you know something? That's what marriage is all about. And I'm going to show you something interesting. The husband gives the wife a ring. A ring is perfectly round. It's protection. He's showing her that he's going to protect her. The kala walks around the chassan, also a perfect circle. That's the idea of protection. And you know something? I have a mechutton Freddie Pfeiffer. His father, Olav Shalom, Dr. Yoel Pfeiffer, once said something fabulous. The words Ezer Kenegde, which means a helpmate alongside him, which of course is the pasuk for Shidduchim in the Torah, Ezer Kenegde, you could figure it out, is equal 360. There are 360 degrees in the perfect circle. And that's what the sukkah is all about. It's embracing, it's protection. And that's what a husband is to a wife, and that's what a wife is to a husband. So now watch this. Now let's listen to what Rab Shimon ben Gamliel says. Lo hoyu yamim tovim liYisrael. There's no yontif like Yisrael. By Yisrael, why? By Tisha B'Av, by Tu B'Av. You know why? Because that includes Pesach, the idea of freedom, of potential. That includes Shavuos, the marriage of Hashem to Klal Yisrael, and a chassan to a kala, and Sukkot, which is being embraced and being protected. That's what it's all about. And maybe that's the Pshat in the Gemara, because when we come together on Tu B'Av, as we will do Mitzvah Hashem, this coming August 5th on Wednesday at 10 o'clock New York time, Eastern Standard Time, and people will be davening in Amuka by the cave of Rabbi Yonasan ben Azil, and people will be davening wherever they are. They're going to stop and daven for Shidduchim. And Shidduchim includes the message of Pesach, the message of Shavuos, and the message of Sukkot. Let's get together. Let's daven for each other. And it's not only about Shidduchim, but we know, Nebuch, there are so many Nitzrachim, especially this year with the COVID situation. There are so many families that are broken. Let's daven for them that they should have chizuk. Let's daven for those that are still ill, whether they're in hospitals or whether they're in rehab, or even if they're home and recovering. Let's daven for them. There's so much to daven for this year. And that's why, 10 o'clock on Tu B'Av, let's not miss that great opportunity that Yad La'achem is giving us. And let's daven for each other. Now, there are certain parakim of Tillim that we are going to say together. And I remember when I spoke to Nathaniel Gans, who is the brains and the force behind Yad L'Achem here in America, I told him that I believe that there are two parakim that we should say as well besides the regular ones that will be said. And that's Kuf Chav Zayin and Kuf Chav Ches, 127 and 128. And I'll tell you why. Because if you look at those parakim and Tillim, you'll see it talks about family. It talks about a husband and a wife. It talks about children. And that's what we're davening for. And let us take this opportunity to daven for all those around the world who need Shidduchim. Whether they are young, whether they were married once before and now they still need Shidduchim, an alman, an almana, a divorced person, a man or a woman. It's lonely. It's very difficult to be alone. As we said, nobody can fulfill their potential being alone. We need each other. That's what Pesach is all about, freedom. Shavuos, the ultimate marriage of Hashem to Klal Yisrael. That's what we want, the marriage of men and women together. So beautiful in Klal Yisrael, because that's the future of Klal Yisrael. And finally, Sukkot, being embraced and being protected by those walls. The kapitel that we are about to read, Kuf Chav Zayin, is certainly appropriate for Tu B'Av because it talks about building a home, building a family, and children. But of course, as David HaMelech tells us, it has to come with trust and faith in Hashem. So we will now say it pasuk by pasuk. Shir HaMalos L'Shloimoi Im Adonai